So, to the actual issue that Joe's bike fall metaphorically represents, we are having an economic bike crash, and it just continues week after week. It seems like we're kind of repeating the same thing, but it's every week the signs are worse and worse. We have several, including an official bear market in the S&P. What's that about?
Right. So for people that don't know, a bear market is when a market experiences price declines. And so if it falls more than 20% from recent or like year-to-date highs, the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, then you're in a bear market. So that just happened with the S&P as of close of trading on June 13th. It was 22% below its record on January 3rd. This is the first bear market since the beginning of the pandemic, too.
Yeah.
Plandemic. And then the Fed increases interest rates, which everybody expected, but it was more than everybody expected. 75 basis points. People were expecting less than that. 50% greater increase than they had initially told us they were going to increase it or suggested. So for people that don't know what this is going to cause, mortgage, car, and credit payments, they're all going to increase because the federal funds rate, which is the interbank lending rate, has increased. So they have to pass that cost along to consumers. And then we're going to see more stock market declines and swings because increased prices means that people are reining in their spending. There's less demand for goods and services. And so this diminishes companies' earnings, and investors are just not willing to pay for shareholders. And then it's going to affect the job market. Demand in companies, the first thing they do is try to cut down their prices in labor. I don't know how people can possibly say that we're not going to enter a recession. And then taxes are going to go up to try to fund the national deficit. So we're really going to feel this. I feel pretty good that I refied for 2.25 2 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. So there are almost no indicators that are positive except for their desperately clung to unemployment rate, which we'll get to momentarily. But other than that, they really have no answers. Oh, I skipped over. We also had the retail spending dip.
Oh, yeah. Retail spending turns negative, which is obvious because in a recessionary period, people are like, oh, well, what can I cut back on? And retail and food service spending, 0.3% decline, which is below the estimate of 0.1% increase. And everything I read about this, they said they didn't control for inflation in any of these numbers, though. I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
You're telling me that the sales numbers were down even though they were inflated?
Yes.
So if that's the case, then this would actually, then a 0.3% reduction would actually be
clearly
worse.
Be more than that. Yeah.
Accounting for inflation.
But fuel spending, of course, has gone way up. So this is just retail and food services.
And they have no good answers for any of this. On the stock market, recall as recently as January, Joe Biden loved to brag about how actually he was the king of stock market growth. He did it to kind of mock Donald Trump. Well, now, officially, all the gains from the Biden presidency, that is dating back to Inauguration Day, January 20th, 2021, or right around there, all those gains have been wiped out. So let's say that you bought into the stock market on day one of the Biden presidency. You have officially lost money, at least using the S&P as a broad metric. Asked about this, Jen Psaki gave a double embarrassing answer. First, she didn't seem to understand the premise of Steve Doocy's question, that the market is indeed crashing. And second, she reverted to the tried and true Putler scapegoat, and she had to read to remind herself of the Putler scapegoat, which is a pretty bad look. Here's first Joe bragging in January, and then the press secretary with absolutely no explanation on Monday.
The stock market, the last guy's measure of everything, is about 20% higher than it was when my predecessor was there. It has hit record after record after record on my watch.
President Biden once bragged about the stock market hitting record after record after record on my watch. How about now?
Meaning the stock market
all the gains from President Biden's time in office have been wiped out.
Flip.
So, as you know, we're watching closely. We know families are concerned about inflation in the stock market. You know, Putin's price hike, inflation coming out of a once in a generation global pandemic. All of those things play a factor.
Okay.
Play a factor, eh?
Oh my God. Well, thank God they're watching closely. It's interesting because the other time she gets confronted about the stock market, she says, well, you know, we don't pay attention. We don't actually watch the market fluctuations. Now they're watching closely. So you can put your faith in that. Maybe they should try watching.
This diversity hire thing in public positions. It could not be better for right-wing morale. That was a disaster.
I'm trying to. It'd be a very difficult job to propagandize for Joe Biden. And like any job, when you hop into it, there's going to be a little bit of a break-in period or a developmental period. She's 3-4 weeks into it? Still very, very bad. So.
This is terrible.
Anyway.
Better this though than American Airlines pilots or whatever. That's coming too.
I suppose it's less consequential in that way. Now, as far as coronavirus being a factor here, we've talked about Putin and all that stuff, but to blame coronavirus for this downturn right now is just bizarre. How do you explain the market being in worse condition now than it was when hospitalizations were 5 times higher back at Joe Biden's inauguration, and daily deaths were almost 20 times higher than they are now? Corona has absolutely no correlation. The market and our financial condition was better when Corona was worse. How could you possibly blame Corona for this?
Yeah.